Hey guys, Brandon here. Thanks for joining me on my balcony. This is my last video submission for my exercise 1020 class. So first I'm going to be taking you guys through each movement pattern and what it takes to do each one and what needs to be assessed to be able to complete these movements. So I'm going to start. First we have our roll. And so our roll is going to be looking for our thoracic mobility. So if you can just go like this, sit up straight, look over your shoulder, and turn. You can see that I have movement all the way through my thoracic spine. Again, look over your shoulder, turn. Good. Now we get to do our first roll. Our first roll is just going to be a starfish roll. Hands sprawled like this. Look over your left shoulder, reach with your right arm. Roll over, keep your hips locked to the ground, and let that other leg fall down with you. And same thing going back. You're going to look over your shoulder, roll, look, reach, hips locked to the ground. So that was our first roll. Our second roll is going to be making sure that we can engage our core. So, knees at a 90-degree angle. Elbows to knees, look over your shoulder, roll, don't collapse, keep going, lock in, squeeze your core until you come back. Now this is the tricky part, going back up, you want to look over your shoulder again, squeeze your core, squeeze, and roll back to center. And that is our roll, and our roll is making sure we can engage our core here and here, and then also looking for that thoracic mobility, which will later come into play with many of our other movements. So our next is our crawl. So our crawl, again, we want to make sure our person can have a flat back. So pretend I'm standing up. We want to make sure they can do a standing plank, locked in like this. Good. Feel their core tightening. Now you'll go on down onto all fours. And you want to have ideally a dowel rod or something to make sure their head, back, and butt or glutes are all touching, going all the way down. After you can tell that they have their stability there and their core is engaged, you can go up. Knees 2 inches off the ground, and then this is going to look for coordination and our cross lateral movements, and so you will just start to crawl, keeping our core locked in, and now we can go backwards. Opposite hand, opposite foot, and make sure you're not reaching all the way back with that foot as you're crawling. You want to keep it nice and tight. And that's our crawl, making sure that we can keep our core engaged and we have those cross-lateral patterns so that later when we run or walk or anything, we can see that we're doing it correctly. Our next movement pattern is our standard plank, and again, to test for the plank, pretend I'm standing, you'll do a standing plank like this. Locking in the core, belly button to spine, squeeze your glutes. Don't let anyone knock you over. Now we're going to take that to the ground. So starting here. Good. Squeeze your core again. Heels to the back of the room. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and pull back. Pull back with your forearms, but only about ½ an inch. Don't let me see. And you want to be able to hold that plank for about 30 seconds if you're doing it properly. Next, we are going into our walk and run. So, with our walk and run, we want to make sure we have good ankle mobility and those cross-lateral movements. So starting from a plank, one knee down, bring it back, and now you can push off and see. Actually, I did that. You want to push off and again, you want to be able to push off and looking for cross lateral. We can all walk for the most part, but it is not the easiest for some people struggling with injuries and proprioceptive lack of function. So after our walk and run, we are going into our push and our pull. For our push and our pull, we want to make sure that our clients or subjects have good thoracic mobility. So again, here, but we want to look for that scapular flexibility as well, and that shoulder flexibility as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell our client to reach one arm behind, reach as far up as they can, bring their other arm, and touch. Try to touch their fingers together. And I'm going to do it on my other side just to show the lack of flexibility on the other side, which I need to work on. So again, arm up, reach down, reach up, and I can't even touch these ones. So that is something I can work on. And as we go through all these patterns, try to keep in mind and take notice of which side you may be struggling with, and that's the side that we can build strength on, make you more mobile on, more flexibility, more range of motion, all of that. So first, for our push, I'm just going to do a standard push-up, elevated push-up, I guess, and we're going to let ourselves down, and we're going to push. Let ourselves down and push. Again, making sure squeezing those shoulder blades, core is locked in, glutes are tight, and we are all in one vertical or one line. So if we had a dowel rod, head, back, and butt would be touching. That's our push. Now for our pull, again, scapular rotation. And so for our pull, look at my shoulder blades. My core is locked in. Again, we're going to pull, and pull. Making sure our shoulders are relaxed and we're not hunched in like this pulling. We want to be nice and pull here. So when we're doing pulls, you don't want to pull up and back. You want to pull like you're rowing something. All the way down to right here. And something to help with that is to make sure we can bring this arm out and come through and threading the needle. Making sure we aren't reaching all the way up here and we have our arm nice and shoulders locked down like that. Okay. Our next movement pattern is going to be our squat, and it's just our standard squat. So I'm going to show a bad squat first. So that was a bad squat for many reasons. First, knees went over my ankles. My ankles did not have the best mobility. I had my head up but chest down, and I was leaning completely over. Now for a good squat, we are going to check for mobility in our hips, knees, and ankles. Sinking back into those heels, you want to kind of be able to wiggle your toes. So sink down, all in line. Everything is in line. We don't want to be the ones that are sticking our butts way up here. We want to tuck down and squat. Good. Now for our next movement pattern, it's going to be our hinge. For our hinge, we want to be able to make sure we have our hip mobility, and most of all, we have proper form. It is one of the most difficult patterns that people struggle with. You'll see people rounding their back instead of hinging at the hips. So if you're going to be hinging at the hips, take these two fingers, hinge, 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 and wait till they disappear. There we go. And look, keeping my chest up. Again, hinge, hinge, hinge. Hopefully I have everything in line. Good. And now, if we were picking something up, we would hinge and lift up. Hinge, power coming through the hips. Hinge. Good. Good. Now for our next movement pattern, it is going to be our lunge. Our lunge, to make sure our clients or subjects can be able to lunge, we are going to assess them by doing a tandem eyes closed balance exercise. So first we are going to ask our subject to hold their arms out straight. Look at my feet first. Our feet are going to be heel in the middle of our big toe and our index toe, our long toe. I don't know what that toe is called, but that is how we will be standing. So first, get your feet right, in line. It helps to stand on the line. Arms come up. Tell your clients to lock in, and once they are locked in, ask them to close their eyes and count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And for that, you also want to be watching their ankles, making sure their ankles aren't weeble wobbling everywhere, because that's another sign that they have poor ankle strength, and that can cause an injury while doing a lunge. So for our lunge, we want to take a big step forward, lunge straight down, and you saw that I was leaning forward a little bit. Not good. Keep that back flat, head up, chest up, lunge back up. One more time. Step forward, both feet facing forward, lunge down. Knee stays above the toes. Knee stays above the toes. That's very important. And again, straight back, back up. Good. And other lunges are our side lunges, or the most simple, our ones where we step back and back up. Step back and back up. Perfect. Now we have our carry. So again, for our carry, it's going to be the standing plank, making sure that your client can stay locked in. Hopefully, if a linebacker comes and bumps you, you won't fall over. So again, tightening the core, tightening those glutes, locking in. So for our carry, we're just going to carry a medicine ball right here. And we want to make sure we're not leaning to this side or overcompensating and leaning to this side. So we just want to stay completely straight, flat back, and walk our cross lateral pattern. Walk backwards. Good. Then you can progress it to an overhead carry or a simple farmer's carry down here. And that is our carry. For our last pattern, it's our rotating pattern, and this comes into play with doing everything, getting out of the car, getting out of bed. So it's a really functional movement, and it incorporates a lot of the exercises that we can do incorporate all of the other ones leading up to this one. So to assess, I have our foam roller. Have your client lay on the foam roller with their flat back, knees shoulder width apart. Then you're going to ask them to raise their hands up, look to the left, and see how far they can go. And we'll bring it back up. Other side. And that is how I would assess for our rotating pattern. For our rotational exercise, I'm just going to do rotating ball slams. You're going to pick the ball up, and you can see I'm incorporating the hinge, the pull, carry, slam. Rotate. Hinge, carry, rotate, slam. And those are our rotational patterns. Each can have a progression to them. Rolls, you would obviously progress to doing rotational stuff. Crawls, you can rotate to or progress to our Spider-Man walk, which is this. Something like that. And squats, jump squats. Squatting is pretty simple, so no, I guess I'll take that back. It's not simple for some, so it is an easy progression for some people. Let's see, walk, run, obviously walk, jog, run, sprint, and that's where that cross lateral pattern really comes in, so you can get off the blocks as fast as possible, or running from a zombie, I don't know. Let's see. Hinge, there are just different hinges that you can do, single leg, 3 different single-legged hinges. What else? You can also that's when you can start doing cleans, that's when you can start doing deadlifts once you have that hinge down. So yeah, those are our movement patterns. Thank you, folks.